Today I fucked up when I confronted irony and lost a family member because of it. What is your biggest personal experience of irony? I ask because mine happened this morning. My uncle who has stage 3 cancer is an anti-vaxxer. I mean, he is radically extreme about vaccinations being forced on us so the government can track and control us and are colluding with Big Pharma. Anyway, I think all of it is nonsense, or maybe not. I mean, I find it funny when people are suspicious about government control while using a cell phone or computer. They already control you to some degree. Anyway, Uncle starts going off on some Bill Biden extended that allows the government to spy. I responded, hey UNC, Bush already did that using 9/11 as an excuse to spy on us. Of course Uncle ran with it, and yes, part of me loves to get him riled up. It suddenly hits me, like a ton of bricks. I interrupt Uncle and say, Uncle, if you're so worried about vaccinations and Big Pharma, why am I driving you to chemo treatments? I mean, we could just go get breakfast and hang out instead. He just stared ahead and didn't respond or say a word even when we got to the hospital. While waiting for Uncle to finish his treatment, my cousin showed up and said I can leave. Uncle doesn't want me to drive him home and not to worry about taking him to treatments again. Too long did not read. This kinda hurt. He's an asshole, but I love him. Too long did not read. Not knowing anything about your uncle except what you've said, I feel like maybe he's turned to conspiracy theories to give him a feeling of control over his life when cancer is fucking him over. Many conspiracy theorists have health problems, job problems, life problems in general, and they feel like having inside knowledge of some conspiracy gives them a sense of control when other parts of their lives are out of control. Was he like this before cancer? I guess that is one way to know what his motivation is. It's easier to trick people than to convince people they've been tricked. I could have triggered my brother-in-law over his opinions on some medical issues, but he had lost his wife to cancer, and I am afraid any comments I made would hit a bit too close to the bone. So I just hit him with a few common sense facts, but ignore the obvious slam dunk. I believe it's good to be right, but better to be kind. Some would argue that you were out of line. I believe holding people to account, no matter the circumstances, is important. Good on you. Yes, I am prepared for the flood of downvotes. Op is intelligent but lacks wisdom. I think you embarrassed him and now he wants to bury his head deeper in the sand. Being around you would remind him of the truth. Today I fucked up and dipped my ball in hot sauce. So, this happened at my mate's place. We were hanging out, enjoying some hot sauce, specifically Apollo and Dingo's Widowmaker. For context, I love hot sauce, and they gave me a lethal dose just to see how I'd handle it. It was hot, but I said it wasn't that bad because, you know, pride. That's when the real challenge began. They said, if it's not that bad, dip your balls in it. Of course, being the mature adults we are, they started chanting. Peer pressure kicked in, and I caved. They mixed the sauces together on a plate, and I dacked myself, put the plate on a kitchen stool, and tea-bagged it. At first, there was a numbing sensation. No big deal, I thought. Then, after about 30 seconds, the gates of hell opened. Intense, fiery pain took over, lasting a solid 15 minutes. My balls were glowing red like Rudolph's nose, but in pain. Desperate for relief, I scrubbed them in the sink, which only made it worse. Pro tip. Friction plus hot sauce equals bad. Then I jumped in the shower, which finally eased the biting agony. An hour later, the burning had subsided to about 10%, but I still felt like I committed a war crime against myself. Too long did not read. Tried to flex my spice tolerance, ended up dipping my balls in some of the hottest hot sauces on earth. Do not recommend. Ever. This is why women live longer. Sir, why the fuck? The second time hurts less. Trust me bro. I dare you. 1. Why the fuck? 2. Shoulda dipped your balls in milk or vegetable oil of some sort. Boys will be boys. Hats off though. Solid effort and maximum laughter for years to come. Don't worry, that's a mistake everyone has gone through. Or, at least, you. Dip your balls in milk to ease the pain. I'm more curious though, did they leave while the Geneva Convention was being broken, or were they giving mental support by staring at your balls? Today I fucked up by microwaving my girlfriend's leftover rice. So this all started Saturday night. My girlfriend and I went out and picked up some Korean food, beef, rice and a few other things. We had 2 containers of rice, and after we ate we packed up the leftovers and called it a night. When she left I ate the rest of the beef and my portion of the rice. Since there were 2 containers of rice I figured we still had some leftovers and went to bed. The next morning I went grocery shopping. When I got home I shredded a pound of Monterey Jack cheese, used some of it for a cheese dip and put the rest in one of my Tupperware containers, where I keep all my leftovers obviously. Later my girlfriend came over and I asked if she wanted the rest of the Korean food. She said she just wanted the leftover rice and the sauce from one of her dishes. I was convinced we still had rice left over, and lo and behold, there was a big Tupperware container in my fridge filled with rice. This is more than I thought we had last night, I thought, but I didn't think much of it. My kitchen was pretty dim, just the stove light, but it was enough to see a giant container of white rice. I started by putting a little bit of it in a bowl and focused on extracting the sauce to go with it. I didn't notice anything weird about the rice at first. It felt a little clumpy, but it was sticky rice, so I figured the consistency was normal. Then I microwaved it for a minute and a half. When it was done, it was a burnt mess completely stuck to the bottom of the bowl. I recently got a new microwave and haven't used it much, so I figured maybe it was more powerful than I realized. Honestly, I was more pissed about burning the sauce, as that was pretty much all that was left. Angry and determined, I scraped the last bits of sauce into the giant Tupperware and figured my girlfriend would be fine with just a bunch of rice. This time I was going to be smart and only microwave it for 30 seconds. You can't burn anything in 30 seconds, right? Well, 30 seconds pass, and when I take it out, it's a giant white pancake. What the fuck? At this point I'm angry, embarrassed, and feeling like a fool. I had to turn to my girlfriend and say, "Yeah babe, I don't know what's wrong with this rice, but it keeps burning." She looked confused and said, "Huh?" So I explained how it kept sticking together and melting. She came over, looked in the bowl and said, That's cheese." I was like, "What? Did they put cheese in your rice?" Thinking maybe hers was different than mine. She just started laughing and said again, "It's cheese." It took me a solid minute before it hit me. I microwaved a fucking pound of Monterey Jack cheese thinking it was rice. I don't know how I'm going to come back from this. I've been cooking for over 5 years. I was completely sober, and I don't think I've ever questioned my sanity like this. But here we are. Oh, and to make matters worse, there was no rice. I ate it all the night before and didn't realize we only had one container of leftovers. Too long did not read. I accidentally microwaved a freshly shredded pound of Monterey Jack cheese thinking it was rice. Better than the maggots I was expecting, but I guess they would have been cheaper. Were you wasted and also in the dark? Only way I see this is an understandable mix-up law. Wouldn't it have smelled very cheesy after being melted? Thank gods it wasn't what I thought the rice would be. You need to make a vision appointment if you thought shredded cheese was rice. It's not the light that's dim. Today I fucked up by emailing a restaurant about their kids menu, and now I'm too scared to go back. This morning, I was bored and passed by a restaurant chain I eat at a lot while on the bus. I like to draw on the kids menu while waiting for food. I would sketch things like the people eating or the decorations around me. Recently, they changed the kids menu. Now there is barely any white space to draw on. It annoyed me a little, but I brushed it off since I am 16 and cannot eat off the kids' menu anymore anyway. For some reason, I thought it would be funny to email them about it. I wasn't expecting a response or anything. My email was polite, and I explained my thoughts, but I was mostly joking because who cares about something this stupid? Apparently, they do. Now they are leaving me voicemails and calling me, and the manager of the local restaurant I listed in the email, it forced me to list my restaurant in the email, called me and left a voicemail. That is where I started panicking because I go there a lot and they will recognize me as the one always drawing and asking for a menu to draw on. I feel so embarrassed. On top of that, I feel horrible for wasting their time. I am sure they have more important things to deal with than some random 16-year-old complaining about a kid's menu. Now I am too scared to go back there because I feel like they are going to recognize me, and this kinda ruined my favorite restaurant for me. Too long did not read. Emailed a restaurant about their new kids menu as a joke. Now they keep calling me, and I am worried the manager knows who I am because I always ask for a kiddie menu to draw on. Feeling stupid and too embarrassed to go back. Teenagers and their social awkwardness, I tell ya. You've done nothing wrong. Return their call and try this. Oh hey, thanks for getting back to me. I have to admit my email was really just a joke. I really enjoyed doodling on your old kids' menus. Of course I'm not expecting you to change anything for me. Thanks for being so responsive to your customers though, that's really impressive. You guys are actually my favorite restaurant. 30 seconds to give them a compliment and an amusing story, and to not ghost them. Everyone feels good. Then you just go back whenever you feel like it. I mean, a good restaurant manager might actually be interested in your opinion. I don't think you need to be ashamed in the slightest. They're probably calling to get more insight. If they thought it was a waste of time they would have said, "Ain't got time for this," and deleted the email without a second thought. Honestly, I suspect you're fretting more about this than you need to. A 16-year-old who likes to draw on a kid's menu is not that big a deal. It's not like you were vandalizing the place. You can always bring some of your own paper to draw on, anyway. Really, you could just tell the truth. I like to draw on the menu while waiting for my food. Most people wish that more young people had safe and productive hobbies like yours. Don't worry about it. Wear your artistic badge with pride. Winking face. You'll be fine to go back there. In fact, maybe they might have some older menus left that they'll give you next time you show up. I think they just want to make sure their regular and loyal customer is happy, so they are going a bit above and beyond. Why would they know it's you based off of your email or your drawing habits? Do you live in an area small enough that it's reasonable to assume no one else but you draws on their menus? What did the voicemail say? What reason do you have to believe they will be upset with you in some fashion about the email? Is it possible they are following up to gauge your perspective and engage in good customer service? I mean, maybe you sound so scared because they were pissed off at you in the voicemail or something, but there isn't much detail about that in this post to determine if this is a negative interaction or not. Answer their calls. They obviously want your opinion. Someone wants to listen to you no matter how trivial it is. Take advantage of it.